I was also a big fan of Divine Right.
How old were you? Like 5?
No, I got into them probably when I was a teenager.
Okay,
As soon as
cool.
I was able to walk my way to a comic store.
Right.
But anyway, I was a big fan of Divine Right also. So I know you kind of touched upon this with the Death Blow question, but any plans to bring Max Faraday back into the New 52?
I don't think there are any current plans, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Scott Lobdell was a guy that finished writing up Divine Right, or some of the work that featured Max Faraday, and obviously he's working on a couple of the New 52 books, and he has a real fondness for the Wildstorm characters, so it wouldn't surprise me if he had some plans. I'll tell you that because the Wildstorm characters are being integrated into the DC universe, I'm not riding shotgun more on those characters because I co-created a lot of them, or because they were part of Wildstorm. In fact, I'm probably treating them exactly the same, which is I want to allow the editors to do the spirit of the New 52 is to look at these characters and see what works, for the concepts, and really highlight that, bring that to the fore. So if I got more involved in the Wildstorm characters, they're just going to end up more like they were when they first launched, and not necessarily something that is new or in the spirit of the relaunch. So I have allowed the editors and the creators really carte blanche to kind of do things. But but I will see if they're doing something very different, or I don't know. I'll speak up, obviously. But for the most part, I've been happy with the adaptation so far.
Great, thank you. And can I get a signature after panel?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Hi.
Yes, hey.
Wanted to ask a couple of things. As far as Wildstorm, hopefully I'd like to see more from North 40. It was a great title.
Yeah, terrific.
And also, as far as DC, do you see any danger of DC becoming too Batman-centric? He's obviously the toughest guy in the Batman or the DC universe right now. So
I don't think so. I mean, I think one of the strengths of the DC universe is that we have a lot of pillars. Obviously, Batman is the most popular, but Superman is something that was a big part of the relaunch and really reinvigorating that franchise. Obviously, Wonder Woman under Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang, I think it's fantastic, and that's probably the best on a Wonder Woman book in many, many decades, I think. Obviously, bringing Swamp Thing back, and Animal Man. I mean, there's a lot of breakout hits, so to me, it's not just about Batman. But if you don't like Batman, it might feel like there's too many Batman.
I like Batman. It's just when you take a look at he's the one character who you kind of sit there and, at least according to Batman, is fulfilling his own potential. When he looks at other characters, it's like, you guys really could be doing a lot more to fulfilling your potential and meeting your goals as Superman.
You're talking about Batman talking to Superman and comics
Exactly.
saying, you should be selling more copies? Well, I don't know. I got 9 copies, you got 3! That's how Batman talks.
Would be saying there, potentially being a life coach to the other members.
Yeah, I like that. Life Coach Batman.
Yeah.
That's a new title right there.
Thank you very much.
Get out of the way.
Hi, I've always wondered, when you were breaking into comics, how did you decide on your composition and panel layout and the poses you would do with characters?
How would I decide? A lot of it was very influenced by the people, the artists I admired growing up. And then I realized if I just kept looking at their work, my style would never really fully emerge. So there was a point, I want to say, right before I started, right after I did X-Men 248, right around that time, I said, yeah, I gotta start looking at all these other people's work, and I just try to draw out, try to figure out what my style was, and then through sheer repetition, my style kind of emerged out of that decision. But in terms of, like I said, when I showed that photograph, I try to imagine stuff happening, the battle, and I try to imagine a photograph of it, and then kind of rotate around a little bit, and have things moving in all sorts of quadrants, and but a lot of times, it's not just what you draw on the panel, it's the panels that lead up to that panel that kind of give you that payoff. So you got to be careful that you're not just drawing for that panel, but the fact that you're setting up the panel two pages later or the next page over.
And one more question. I know you're a busy guy, but after the panel, would you take a look at a couple pages I did?
If there's time permitting, I wouldn't want to lie to you, but I mean, that stuff takes a little longer, and I figure I'll be signing a couple books, and then I've got a panel I think I've got to run to. So, but if you have photocopies of your work, you can give them to me.
Okay.
All right.
Another starting out question. When you were starting out as trying to be a professional, what kind of kept you going? Was it that kept going as an artist? Was it like the fact that if I didn't make it in the comic book business, I could go to the medical field again, or was it just you had just a passion for it, you just wanted to do it?
I'm not sure. I think it was. I've always been pretty driven, and I'm not sure. I just know that I wanted it more than anything, and I knew that if I didn't get in by mailing in submissions, I was going to move to New York and get a job as a janitor in Washington, D.C. and get my foot in the door that way. I mean, literally, I don't know, I was just possessed, and I think when I was trying to get into medical school, when I was in college, I would talk to guys that were pre-med, because everyone's worried about, I might not get in and not be able to do this.
Si van güeyes para allá, güey, yo también voy para allá, güey.
He was also pre-med. He said, if you want it badly enough, you'll attain it. You'll get it. And I ended up not wanting. I don't think I wanted it badly enough. And that's when I started thinking about art, and I knew that I wanted that very badly. And so I moved back home after I graduated. Moved back into my bed with my Hot Wheels posters. I didn't Hot Wheels posters. And I set up a drawing table right next to my bed, and I literally would roll up out of bed, sit at the drawing board, and then I pretended like I had the job already, so I drew like 8 hours a day. And that was a real eye-opener because it's just physically grueling to sit in a chair and draw. And so I started having these horrible like shoulder pains from pinched nerves, and my hands really swelled up. And try it. Literally, if you have not drawn before, sit down and try to draw just anything, 8 hours in that chair, and you'll feel the physical aches and pains of it. And but to me, that felt like a trial by fire. It was. In a way, I felt like it was trying to dissuade me from getting into comics, and I had to kind of overcome the physical and mental obstacles to achieve my goal. And so I took it as a challenge, and I think that's ultimately what drove me and continues to drive me. So when people say like, New 52 is going to fail, all right, bring it. Let's see. And same thing with Before Watchmen. I love the fact that people are talking smack about it. At the end of the day, the work will ultimately, that will be the one that people judge. And I've always liked the challenge of taking on a book like even X-Men at the time, having had creators like John Byrne and Dave Cockrum and Neil Adams before you. Those are very big shoes to try to even possibly fill, and it's easier to not do that stuff and not embarrass yourself. But I don't know, I always just like the challenge of it.
And, sorry.
Okay, good. I think that's the last question, so thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you listening.